You know, when you think about leadership, you do think of great leaders, don't you? Whether you like them, agree with them or not, it's all about showing exactly that you have a sort of strength, an inner strength, when everybody else around you is falling apart. I often thought that, believe it or not, with Queen Elizabeth, because when she spoke to us at the height of the pandemic, it was her calming words, her demeanour, somebody of her age that had literally lived through so many different things before. You think, well, if she thinks it's going to be all right, well, then maybe. And it was an incredibly calming sort of speech. I think possibly, in my opinion, one of her very best speeches of her very long reign. Now, some might not say the same thing currently for our, yes, at the moment at least, British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer. And as I keep pointing out to people here on the channel, they say, oh, don't refer to him as the Right Honourable. That is the correct name. If you are in Parliament, you have to refer to the person as the Right Honourable, whether you like them, agree with them or not. But now behind the scenes, it appears that Sir Keir is crumbling fast. Let me explain. Hi, good to see you today in the very heart of London. Thank you for joining me. It's a funny thing, isn't it, power? So we'll have a lovely wave. Power is a funny thing. A lot of people want it, but don't necessarily know how to work it, live with it, execute it well, whatever you want to call it. There are very few. Whether you agreed, for instance, with the previous British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, he certainly had a stronger handle on the government, the economy, and, of course, his own cabinet, if you think about it. There were greats, weren't there, like, of course, the Right Honourable Margaret Thatcher, and some people might say Harold Wilson, throughout various forms of political life. But this man, Sir Keir Starmer, well, not doing too well at all. He apparently wants to eradicate all of our wonderful British history, and once again has decided to remove another portrait of the brilliant Winston Churchill, alongside other portraits removed of Margaret Thatcher and Elizabeth I. Now, you would have thought, wouldn't you, as a party that has yet to have a female British Prime Minister, he might have been a little bit more welcoming to the women. No, absolutely not. It's all about Keir, right? Now, according to sources, the reason why he's removed it is simply because, you know, he finds it off-putting. Apparently he gets quite emotional looking at some of the portraits because apparently they're everything that they stood for that he doesn't. Well, if that's the sort of story you want to believe, absolutely brilliant. But the true story is simply this: he's engulfed by sleaze, crime, cheats and liars. As we've seen, Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, has disappeared off the face of the earth after being caught lying about pretending to be a solicitor, right? Rachel Reeves caught lying on her CV. The Deputy British Prime Minister, again, Angela Rayner, another one fudging the CV. So what you do in a situation like that is simply this: you take down something that will offend the great British public, something that they hold dear, and then basically say, you know, well, I'm offended by it, so people log on to that. You see, only yesterday there was a Labour MP who's now got to spend 10 weeks in jail for smacking a constituent. Hitting, by the way, if you don't know what that is, right? And you do kind of think, wow, right, so everybody else, you know, gets put away for writing a sort of hurty tweet or a meme or something online for 2 years, something like that. But if you're a former Labour MP, well, it's just 10 weeks. As for the portraits, portraits can be removed and replaced. And let's be honest, nobody's going to want a portrait of this current British Prime Minister hanging anywhere near Downing Street, whatever the history. Well, maybe just a reminder as to how bad it got in such a short time. But if you believe that Sir Keir is really upset about seeing Winston Churchill every day, think again. I mean, days away, of course, from meeting the President of the United States, who's a huge Churchill fan, you would have thought he might have treaded a little bit more cautiously. But no, Keir really doesn't care, and more importantly wants you to divert your attention away from the shambles that he's running. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.